Okay. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Dan.
Thank you so much for joining me on what is the inaugural episode of what I hope to call Making It, assuming the name isn't taken and I can upload with that name.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Yes. Cheers. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we met probably about 2 years ago at Seen on Screen, which is like a scene jam workshop to keep the muscle tight.
Yep.
Which is
On
fun.
camera. Yeah.
On camera, obviously, because we are what? Actors.
But it could be theatre.
It could be theatre, yes, but it's not. That's not what Seen on Screen is about, which is hence the name. So yeah, we've obviously known each other for a little while now, and I haven't had an opportunity to work with you in a professional sense, but I've got to work with you a bit from a training sense, which has been nice over the last little while, specifically, or especially rather, probably the last 6 months.
Yeah, with stage milk as well.
Yeah, with stage milk,
yeah.
and I think just during COVID, having an opportunity to get together and
you need an acting
create. Well, not necessarily create, but at least flex the muscle, which has been really nice. So I guess what I'm keen to do, the point of this podcast is really to, I suppose, understand what it takes, what you go through to make it.
Okay.
So this is very unscripted and I haven't prepared any questions, but I have a little bit of an idea of
And I can really go through it. It's all very
what I want to know. So how long, let's just start at the very beginning. Like how long have you been, I guess, attempting to make it?
Well, in acting or just making it as a performer?
Or in life in general?
I've always been in the performing arts since very little, but I was in a band for the past 8 years.
Oh, okay.
And I was focusing on that heavily.
Why do I not know that?
I don't know.
Did I know that?
Maybe.
I put that back in my mind, clearly. And
so acting was like, finished school, went into full-time performing arts school for musical theatre, did acting, dance and singing.
Okay.
Did that, then the band came.
Right.
So then that kind of took over.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like a conscious decision of, I'm going to be in a band, this kind of happened.
What kind of band was it? Like what type of music?
An indie rock electro band.
Okay, nothing I would
Check
ever
us out on
listen to.
YouTube.
Sorry, like, what is it called?
The Cards.
Could you spell that?
KHANZ.
Okay, and you're on YouTube? You have your own YouTube channel?
We do.
Amazing.
Spotify, all those things.
Check them out. Okay, cool.
So that happened and then kind of fizzled out. Things just life got in the way. It wasn't the main priority for everyone, which was totally fine. And then that's when I kind of realised that I had accidentally neglected acting and the musical theatre world and stuff.
Yep.
So to answer a long-winded question, I've been focusing on acting heavily probably since I met you 2 years.
Okay.
But before I have had training and
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably about similar. I probably got back into acting about 3 years ago, starting with a year at Screen Wise, doing that show, of course. But similar, kind of been doing acting on and off. But anyway, we're not here to talk about moon.
No, it's good to know.
Your years. Okay, cool. So over the last 2 years since you've been making that concerted effort to get back into acting, how have you found, what is it you've done to kind of keep yourself alive in the acting world?
Well, classes, I think for me, because I missed it for so long, I have that fire again, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So doing lots of classes, networking, meeting people. I started at Luna Park, which was really good to kind of get foot in the door after for so long. You know, I was like, how do I even start making things and doing things? That was a good start. And
what is it you do at Luna Park?
I work as a performer there, so I do all the performance and shows and stuff.
Cool. So what? I have to be honest, I've never been to Luna Park to see any kind of show. I've been to to see some rides, to go on some rides, but never to see a
They're
show.
just like roaming characters, and then there's
Right,
dance shows
okay.
and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet,
Which is
nice.
awesome. It's just nice to be paid as a performer, as a
Well,
constant
yes.
job as well. Like it's
Yeah.
fun. It's great workplace.
Okay, cool.
Love it.
So that's your main source of income then? Working
No
at the
teaching
club?
as well.
Okay, cool. And what
Yeah.
are you teaching?
I teach dance and drama.
Okay, sweet. So when you're not acting on screen, you're still acting as your, or at least in that creative area
Absolutely.
for your main bread and butter, which is cool.
Yeah, that was my little goal.
Okay.
I set for myself that 2 years ago. When I got back into it, I was like, I want to make money as a creative.
Okay.
That's my goal, and then all these things kind of happened. So that's been
Nice.
tap on the back.
Are you the sort of person that sets yourself a lot of goals?
I never used to, but I'm trying to.
Okay. And
I mean, I feel like my goals are always a little bit too ambitious and they're not reachable. So then actually having them, but also having those vague goals as well. It's like just to be, make money as creative, meaning lots of different things. But I've done it to the degree that it is at the moment, and there's still the capacity for going further, as a full-time actor on script. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
so, okay.
being vague with goals for me is kind of good. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No, I don't know. Okay. No, I think I know where you're going. So,
One of us at least.
okay, let me take this back a step, because I don't think any goal is necessarily unachievable.
No.
There might be a stretch goal.
It's true.
But,
You need them too. You need the ambition.
Exactly. It's ultimately what you're focusing on. So, what's your big, hairy, audacious goal? What's your stretch goal?
Oh, it's on recording, but I'll just say it. So, as a kid, I always said to Mum that I just wanted to be famous. Like, I always wanted to be a star. But saying that at 3 years old is very different to how it feels now. I think for me, it's to be a paid performer as a living,
Okay. Which
obviously,
you are. So you've reached that goal.
On paper, yes, but mentally, not. No, I haven't. I still.
Okay. So then
3-year-old still talking.
So then, what does that look? So is then the big, hairy, audacious stretched goal for you to be a known actor?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So
sounds so weird saying it out loud, but yes, I should just own it more.
well, we all want to be known for acting, right? Well,
Maybe.
those of us that are actors want to be known for acting.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we want to act and be known and get regular work and be paid for what you ultimately love doing.
Yes. My secret goal is also to be on Broadway, but I haven't been training in singing and dancing recently,
So you
That's all
neglected acting for the band and singing and dancing, and now you're neglecting dancing and singing.
Well, I think it's always really hard to
acting?
keep all of them top notch,
Right.
because I think the idea of being a triple threat is awesome, and I respect all the musical theatre people out there because you're the hardest working people I know. But it's also extremely difficult because you've got to work on your voice all the time and your fitness and your dance ability and your acting. That I was doing that my whole life.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just got to a point where I don't know. I think with musical theatre, sounds negative, but I felt like because I neglected it for a bit. It feels like not that it wouldn't happen, but I've missed out on a lot of time where people have gotten better.
Okay.
That makes sense. But now that I focus in on acting, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think it's just very hard as an adult to have. For me, this isn't for everyone, but for me to, focus my thing on all of it. I'll never give up on all of them, but dancing and stuff has definitely fallen back a bit.
I'm going to touch on, I guess, something that you said there about being an adult. Obviously, adulting is hard, but the idea that you might be, is what you were trying to say, like that you might have reached an age where you're past that part of your life? Or
I think the training, when I finished full-time performing arts school, you're young, you're fit, and now particularly with musical theatre, I just don't know. I don't know. I just think I'm out of training.
Right.
And to get that back, you would have to go heavy into the dance world again, and I love it, but I don't know. I was never a fabulous dancer, but I loved it a lot. So maybe there's that at the back of my head. I think acting was always a stronger suit of mine. So maybe there's that kind of shadowing damage from being, trauma as a child of like, oh no, I love the musical theatre world, but it's also very tough. So,
yeah, of course.
But with goals, become a famous actor, and then you don't have to do all the hard dance, and you just be like the old, like the wizard, or things like that.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, look. I mean, I did musical theatre when I was. Sorry, that's a lie. I didn't do musical theatre. I did a couple of, and by couple I mean one musical when I was younger. What the fuck? I did a musical when I was younger, but I didn't really have to do much dancing. And I'm about as flexible as a bitumen road. So. Well, I guess with the dancing part of musicals, you're a dancer, or you're one of the leads who's got to be an amazing singer, right? Yeah. So, and I think my dancing's a bit slow now, and I feel like my singing isn't top notch either now. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So it's like... Well, it's a good thing we're focusing on acting then. Yeah, exactly. That's why I made that decision 2 years ago. Okay. But in terms of goals, that's, sweet. Stop waffling. You're not waffling. Okay, cool. So now we're focusing on acting, and you've been doing that for the last 2 years. So talk to me about, I guess, making that decision 2 years ago to focus on acting as that's what I want to do. That's what I want to. That's where I want to be. To now, what are some of the cool projects? What are the type of projects that you've got involved in over the last 2 years? So short films was the first kind of thing to do. I did a one-woman show, which was really cool. Okay. Which was like I was supporting Rabina Beard, who's a very old school. She's I think 18, maybe older now. Actor, and working with someone who has lived the complete performer life and done her show, and then my show was really cool that experience. Was theatre, right? That was theatre, yeah. Okay, cool. And then lots of short films. I'm filming a web series at the moment, and I'm filming a pilot coming up. And what else? Okay. So do you know how many projects you've worked on for the 2 years? In the last 2 years? Yes, I think so. Does it include upcoming, or just like from the stage? What you've worked on, what you've acted, whether it's released or not, what you've actually acted in. About 10 projects, I think. Okay, sweet. And 8, anyway. Somewhere between 8 and 10. Yeah. And that's a combination of stage and. Correct. Yeah. And screen. Not even a million apart, because that would be like millions because you do it everywhere. Of course, that's your. That is the job that you do to maintain your job as an actor, which is largely unpaid until you're a known actor, which is the big hairy audacious goal. For those of you that don't know, we don't get paid for a lot of the acting work we do. That's always good fun. So the stuff that you've worked on over the last few years, I'm assuming that's been a combination of like student and independent type productions. So I asked you before we met to do this, to send me something that you are super proud of, and something that makes you cringe. And you sent me 3 pieces, 2 that potentially make you cringe, and 1 that you're super proud of, which is great. So let's start with the cringy stuff. Cringy in your opinion. Cringy because of your performance, or? Well, I think it's hard, because I think some things, for me, absolutely, I'm too hard on myself. So I'll watch my project back and be like, ugh. It's really easy to judge ourselves on camera. And I do it every time. And I think I always will, unfortunately. And I also think, because of it, as you said, some of it is a mix of independent films and student films, and some of it is just, fresh students being awesome, but just, watching it and being like, oh, that's a bit of an awkward edit, or, like those little things which, not that I'm an editor at any means, but, it just feels a bit more, a student film, as much as it's sad to say that, you can feel that, so it kind of takes you out of it for a second, and then I think
my critical hat comes on, and then I'm like judgy of myself after that sort of thing.
All right. And are you judgy? Are you predominantly judgy of yourself, or are you also a little bit judgy of the end result of the film? Or
I try not to be. Because,
I mean, I definitely have.
But I think with safe space, I think at times, yes.
Safe space that potentially hundreds of millions of
everyone's
people
going to be
will
like
see.
that girl said.
Probably just one person.
We'll just keep everything anonymous. No, but and I guess that's the
just
thing about
censoring her face out while she says this particular line.
But I think that's the thing with student films. Like for me, getting back into acting, you had to start there because you can't expect to get something.
Why not? Why not? I want to be an actor. I should
agree.
be like somebody should just hire me to be on, the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah, right.
Okay, cool. So there was a couple of films. So let's start with Stillborn.
Mm-hmm.
So in Stillborn, tell me about what your character is. Or tell me what the film was about.
Yep.
And what your character was. And
sure. It was about a doctor called Peter who has a top surgeon and never lost a patient, and he has his own kind of trauma and problems at home. They just him and his wife lost their daughter.
Yep.
And basically it's his kind of downfall spiral at work. And he I'm going to give the whole storyline.
I know. I'm like, just the cliff notes, love, like the blurb.
I feel like me saying who I am. Anyway, I am a patient called Lily.
Okay, great. The entire part is a patient called Lily. Great, Oscar. Okay, cool. So, interesting little film. Was this a student film?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I'm thinking. It was interesting. It was an interesting little piece. I did not pick. Well, I mean, I didn't pick the ending until just before the ending happened, and then we're like, oh yeah.
Well, that's what I liked about it, like reading it when you audition and stuff. It was a twist.
Yeah.
It sounded a bit different, and it's not as I think.
Yeah. So this particular short film fell into your cringe basket.
It did.
So what was it about this particular project that was cringy for you?
Well, I think for me it was some of my choices.
Okay.
And some of the edits, to be completely honest. I'm really sorry to the director. I adore you and everyone was great to work with. But it was, and again, I'm not an editor, but it wasn't what I would have done. And because I'd seen other cuts of my work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the edits in the whole thing, just in my scenes, it was more like, oh, I liked that other take. So that's maybe my own problem. Maybe it's not about them. It's like, they chose the wrong take, but it's also about their film, not me.
Yeah.
So
I remember watching. I remember watching the end show reel that was put together from Screenwise, and watching it back, thinking, oh fuck. They didn't use that time that I made that choice. What? That was so much better than what they've chosen. Why? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
But ultimately, where we're there to work, and we're there to tell their story, and
they have a vision exactly,
and to sell their vision. So we are but meat bodies on screen to do as we're told,
and to go in it. Kind of realising your part, I wasn't the lead. It wasn't about me. It was about Peter's character and all this. So you have to kind of switch
back.
What's
the lead?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then the next one was There's Still Time.
Yeah.
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't really understand what that film was about.
Okay.
I
thought it was so ridiculous.
very obvious. I mean, okay, so I had to watch it twice. I mean, my interpretation of it that it was about a mother-daughter story, and the main character or the lead was reflecting on her relationship with her mother to come to grips with her own relationship with her own daughter. Is that come to acceptance
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
after trying to commit suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like a mental health.
Yeah,
type
so
story.
it's the fact that she has all the flashbacks of,
Yeah.
her, it's confused me now, hold on. I always thought it was the same character the entire time. So there's young Aubrey, there's old Aubrey, and then there's the other Aubrey, and then it's her daughter is the only separate character.
But
So
wasn't the mother that you took that your character took to the Sydney Harbour bridge? Wasn't that the lead character's mother?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then your character was a
I
flashback of the lead character.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Ooh, what just happened there? My brain just went.
Okay, right.
Right. Yeah. So it's about her trying
To
to
connect
kill
with.
herself
Yeah.
and then realizing that there's this whole
Loop.
thing that she misses and it's not as
Okay.
bad and she's
All right. So what was your? Because that was
I have to
also
edit
your that was also in your cringe bucket.
Well, no, that was a half because
Okay.
I loved a lot of it, and then I think just watching yourself cry on camera is really awkward.
Yeah, sure.
Like I really just hated. Like I felt like emotionally I was there, but it just was. I think that's my own thing again. Like watching yourself do that, it just felt.
I think in that particular scene, what I thought was, I really believed you in that scene, which is great. But also, I can empathise with what you're saying because, as the sometimes narcissist that I am, not really a narcissist. I just
Know that about you? No.
that's a joke. I'm
I know. I'm
not really a narcissist. Love me. I know that I can watch stuff back of me and think, oh my God, I look horrendous. Like I don't like how I look in this, and it's not supposed to be about how you look. It's about, and I know that's not necessarily what you were saying, but
No, I do know what you mean though. Yeah, that's why I don't think it was as like wouldn't put it necessarily the cringy thing. I think it was more like I'm actually I like kind of the working.
Okay, cool.
Particularly more scenes than others too.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just like thinking everything.
Okay, cool. And then finally we had, was it Phone It In? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Phone It In. That was a cool little thing. So was that a student or indie? What was that one?
I think, was it student or indie? Good question.
But it's on the festival circuit
It
at
is,
the moment.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So I got a sneak peek, which was
Yes.
Which is
Well,
nice.
it was on a festival that they posted because of COVID. They didn't have the proper screening for it, so we got sent the
yeah, sweet.
which is
Okay, so that was a cool little short, and the first thing I thought when I saw your character in that was this feels like Cat.
Yeah.
Which was great. Which I absolutely loved. Especially the kind of final scene that you were in the party, kind of dancing around with silly glasses on. I'm like, I mean, this is just Cat.
Yeah.
Which is great. Which are the best acting roles, right? When you're just being yourself.
Yeah, it's that whole weird thing of like we're trying to learn how to act, but really all we have to do is
Be ourselves.
be ourselves and be real.
Yeah.
Whole other podcast episode there.
Next week on episode 2. No. Okay, cool. Well, look, they're cool pieces of work, and I know that you're working on some exciting stuff at the moment with some other people that we know from Seen on Screen, which is cool.
I'm excited.
Are you allowed to talk about that, or
I don't know.
maybe we won't?
We won't.
I'll
We'll just say it's a web series that's coming up, and we'll let you know when it's out. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, because I will probably interview. Well, probably. I'm going to ask her if I can interview her as well. So we'll see. Okay, cool. So you've obviously been doing a lot of stuff over the last 2 years, which is fantastic.
I feel yes. I feel like I'm not doing enough, but
I think
for the given circumstances of like coming out and getting involved again, it is a huge leap. I have to remind myself of that. I think I'm just very
I think you are someone that is extremely hard on yourself, and you put a lot of pressure, a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself. I mean, you're working at Luna Park. You're also teaching. I'm pretty sure you've got a third job as well.
I did. COVID.
Okay.
No.
She had a third job. And as far as, and you're obviously working, which is fantastic. And I know from a training perspective, you're doing like Stage Milk, AMAW, Sydney Actors Association. Like, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to just
You've seen it
continue.
firsthand as
I
well.
have seen it firsthand. Like, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Talk to me about why you think you do that.
I think it comes from wanting that ridiculous goal again, like wanting the big thing. And I think for me, being in the band for 8 years meant I was working as a team.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't really have complete control of my life.
Okay.
And not that 8 years was wasted. I would always make that decision again. I loved it. But I think there is some sort of, I don't know, maybe like I need to catch up mentality in my brain. So that's why I kind of overwhelm myself by doing all these classes, because people have been doing it for longer, or, so I'm like, well, I have to double it, and I think, I don't know, it's weird because I didn't realise I put so much pressure on myself and what a perfectionist I am until very recently.
Right, until everybody's telling you you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
You need to let something go.
And I don't know if this is like a new thing with me, or if I've always had it, or I
think it's I don't think it's a terrible quality to have, to strive to do more and to continually work yourself. But at the same time, I think it's really important to recognize when you're maybe when you're like burning the candle at both ends, right? Because we've been through, like, just this year alone has been an insane year with COVID and the pandemic. And while we haven't experienced the same levels of
the rest of the world and stuff.
Well, yeah, the same levels of either lockdown, like just in Melbourne, or the same level, the same numbers, etc., and the same kind of impact of the pandemic. It still had a massive impact on people, and I think it's really important that just you as a human being take time to remember I'm only human, and I don't have to do everything now. I
think I've always just had that like go to 101 things all the time.
Do you do anything to kind of like ground yourself?
Let's try. Well, I think dancing was the thing that grounded me, so I really need to get back to that, not as a job, just for a me thing.
Yeah.
And swimming. I love swimming.
Okay, cool.
I found that during COVID again, which
is
nice. My kind of like meditation. And for me, it's that weird
I found wine during COVID.
Yeah. Me too. The swimming thing's really good because
speaking of which, my glass is empty.
Oh, we'll have to fix that. But quickly, before I lose my train of thought, the swimming thing's really cool because it grounds me. I feel really connected to the water of the earth, for Wibby, and I'm getting exercise, but I can also go over lines in my head. So for me, it's that weird thing of relaxing, but still good.
But still working.
Even though everyone's like, just stop. I can't switch off.
You should get some.
So it's good for me. It's a perfect balance.
You should get a waterproof Apple Watch and the waterproof headphones, and you could listen to the other person's lines and practice your lines while you swim. Here's me telling you to slow the fuck down, but,
you can do it all.
but helping you to achieve multiple things like efficiency. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I feel like I had another question, but it's disappeared out of my brain. So you've obviously been working on a lot of stuff, and you've got a couple of things that you're working on at the moment, such as the pilot and the web series. Do you personally have a process whereby you get into the character or prepare for the role?
I think it depends on the role. and when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
How
I
many
think
lines you have?
almost.
There is no small role.
Well, I think so. Without saying too much, a heavier role for me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know the character quite well and do my analysis and know enough, but I don't want to get stuck in it because I'm quite a bubbly person and I don't want that to affect me in daily life. You know, like method acting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the way I do it. So, for example, I will have my own little screen breakdowns, and I will make double check that what I'm saying in my head is the same as what the director wants.
Yeah.
With particular characters, so having that kind of touch base first of going, okay, this is them, blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and then kind of going in more depth. For me, I find like I like to make kind of stories with them to really connect with them. So I'm a bit of a storyteller myself. So I think the more I create to understand them, whether it's like don't go to the shops as them, but think about that kind of aspect, how they would be, and what they would do in different situations helps me really connect with them on a kind of personal level.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess it's different with every role though, I feel, because some roles.
And how much time you have between the three classes you're doing, and the 3 jobs, and the swimming, and...
But I do think for me that's something that I need to explore more of.
Okay.
Because I'm so busy, I'm kind of like, when am I to get it done? But it's like, oh no, there's the whole other world that you should do.
Yeah. And I think...
and I think with theatre it's different because you have that time to discover it in rehearsals.
Yeah.
So you're working on it for weeks or months.
Yeah, of course.
But you kind of have to do that with screen yourself, which I'm still kind of adapting to, I guess.
Have you...
Sorry.
Well, that was a weird way for you to get down off the sofa, Kevin.
But there was you got a dog.
My dog, yeah.
Just no, I didn't say we're not.
Kevin has just dismounted the sofa in the strangest way by jumping over, well, not jumping, stepping onto and then stepping down from the arm of the sofa, which was a bit strange. Anyway, it's weird. So I guess I appreciate that different roles may call for different types of preparation. But I'll touch on one thing that you said there, was like would depend on. I can't remember the exact word that you said, but my interpretation was will depend on the intensity of the role, the depth of the role.
Yeah.
Have you been lucky enough yet in the last 2 years to, I guess, be in the lead? The lead.
I wouldn't say
number
it was
one
a
on the
lead,
call sheet or anything.
I wouldn't say it would be a lead thing. What I meant more the depth of the character's shit.
Yeah.
You know, like you get a character and you go, cool. All right, there's this and this, and then you get a character and you go, whoa.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I need to have some private time with this. Not like that, but like, you know, like really go, shit. Okay, why is this?
Method, apparently.
Why is this person like?
Yeah.
This,
okay,
or understanding that degree of
nice
things, which are kind of weird.
Sure. Okay. So I think
those roles actually recently. It's weird.
You have.
Yeah, I've got like 2 or 3 which are quite.
Okay.
I don't want to use the word confronting because that sounds
confronting.
Yeah, but it's more like. I guess it's like making your brain think in a different way.
Yeah, sure.
Which is kind of exciting. But I know I do need to, it sounds bad, put more work into it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, like when you get a role of you, that's you.
Yeah.
You look at it and you go, I know how to do this, because it's me. And it's fun and it's good, but so the preparing for those roles, I think, for me, because I am quite a bubbly, person, and I am quite honest, and there's not a lot of bullshit or secrets with me. When you get a character that has all this going on, I'm like, well, okay,
sure.
I have to study it.
Okay.
sort of thing.
What would your dream role be?
Can I divide it into sections?
If that's the way you need to respond, sure.
Yes, it is. My dream role in, I think I want to be a lead role in like a Broad City meets Fleabag sort of thing. Sure. Because I feel like...
I can see you in Fleabag.
Yeah, I think that kind of vibe, like I think... Yeah. So that's category A.
Okay.
But I feel like for like blockbuster stuff...
Right.
I feel like... Yeah, I love sci-fi things, so like Doctor Who or like Marvel or, that kind of degree would make me really happy too. But then I have my musical theatre nerd and I'm like, well, I kind of also want to be Glinda in Wicked. Even though I don't have the vocal range anymore, it's still the dream role that I want. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want it all.
All right. Okay, so I guess I've got one kind of final question. We are, I think, what's the date today? It's the 9th. So we're in like the second week of the final month of what has been...
I thought you were going to be like Christmas. I'm like, yay!
No, we're almost finished what has been probably one of the most trying years for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've just lied. I said what I've got one question, but I'm going to. It's going to be multiple questions.
Great. I don't want it to be over yet. I have so much fun.
What is one thing from 2020 that you are super, super proud of? It doesn't have to be acting related. Just like what is. I think it's really easy to think about all the negatives of this year. What is your one positive that you really are super proud of from 2020?
I have a few, which is nice.
What is your one thing?
I don't like this on one thing.
I got that from your last response to the last question.
Okay, I would really like two things. Having COVID, being able to go back with my family for COVID, like the isolation, and reconnecting with them. Because I was meant to be away this year, so I thought my 2020 was going to go in a very different way.
Yep.
So being able to trust in that and go there, which was really cool. And
go on then.
Landing roles this year. Like I got some roles this year, which I thought was a year that you don't get.
That you're not going to get anything, yeah.
So that
was
also awesome.
And what? 2 more questions.
Yay.
What have you? What have you learned this year that you are going to take? I will make this active related. What have you learned this year that you're going to take through to 2021?
There's one that I want to say on impulse, but I don't know how this is going to read, but I'm just going to do it.
Anyway, who cares?
How much better life is when you don't have to work and you can just have all the time in the world to do what you want to do.
Okay.
Because I feel like lockdown for me was like I could just focus on...
So if that's what you've learned to take through to 2021, how will that manifest?
Well, I think it's, not putting like a job first.
Okay.
Putting what you want first.
Yes. I mean, you've still got to eat.
Well, yeah. Have a job so you can eat, but not get so money obsessed, I guess.
Yeah.
Having that opportunity to do the things you love and spend the time doing that. And maybe can't go out to fancy restaurants.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's...
still work with it. Still affects
I think that is something that you specifically need definitely need to take through to next year, given how much you put on your plate.
And also health was my first thing that I want to say, because you said maybe acting related, and I was like.
But I think that's, I think it's important to put your passion first, but obviously you've got responsibility, etc. So that's a cool thing to do, to learn and take through to next year. Final question: what is your? I know what your big, hairy, audacious goal is, but what's your main goal for 2021?
To find a balance in life.
Okay.
And to get more roles. Yay! I'm sorry, I'm that person.
Okay. Yeah, we all want rolls. I get it. There's a bakery downstairs. There's plenty of rolls.
They're freshly baked, though.
In the morning, there will be. They're probably closed, like the liquor store that I sent you to earlier.
But that closed way too early.
It did close way too early.
I think maybe I can rephrase this. To enjoy the journey that you're on and just to slowly progress through it.
Okay.
Just because it's fun and it's exciting.
It is.
To also have limits as goals as well. I do want to have X amount of things that I can do rather than completely not doing anything.
I think that's a really nice note to end on, to enjoy the journey and the process.
And that's what I love the most about it.
We can have the big, hairy, audacious goal of wanting to be famous and, not having to audition and just be given roles. But
the love is the performance part. For me, at least.
Exactly.
I don't care where I'm performing to.
Yeah.
I just want to perform. So if I do just perform for children as a teacher, I still get that.
Yeah, of course.
Same sort of.
But I think it's something that a lot of people, not just ourselves, yes, we're acting for the love of it, and every time I'm on set, I feel like I'm at home. I'm like, this is where I'm meant to be, and I love it every single time. But then obviously there is that part of me that sits back every now and then. Well, why hasn't it happened yet? Why am I not getting auditions? Is it because I am a bald person? Is it because I'm a little bit too old? All of these things go through my head, which is totally natural. But and there's a lot of people. This is going to sound horrendously patronising, but there are a lot of younger people that just think, right, I'm going to be an actor, and I'll start doing it, and all of a sudden I'll be an actor and I'll be famous, and start TikTok, you can get it go viral. But
TikTok doesn't mind me, that's
but yeah, I think it's a really good thing for you to take forward to next year, but also definitely for me and hopefully for anybody else that actually tunes in to enjoy the journey.
And also how fun the journey is, because you don't know where it's going to go. As we're having this conversation, I just had a whole other moment of, actually, there's this whole other thing that I didn't speak about, of goals and things, like acting, and I was like, there is.
We'll keep that for,
which is exciting.
Keep that for if I bring you back.
Well,
Well, thank you very much for entertaining this idea of a visual and recorded interview.
I've never been interviewed before, I don't think.
Okay.
Oh, no, I have, but this felt more like...
It's just a conversation, just like acting. It's just a conversation.
It's fun though.
Cool. Well, Kat, thank you very much. Actually, I'll do this. Do you have any social media profiles that people can connect with you on and either follow you or watch your work or whatever?
I do.
Cool. Feel free to give that information.
Sorry. I have a website, but I don't know the URL.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get the URL and we'll put them in the notes of the podcast.
Yeah. My Instagram page is Kitty Cats Creates.
Do we need to spell that?
Yeah.
Well, obviously we need to spell it.
Kitty.
Can you spell that for?
Kitty. Can I even spell it? Kreates.
So it's creates with a K?
Yeah.
I'm glad I made you spell it.
Yeah.
There you go. KitKat creates with a K on Instagram. And on YouTube, the band was...
The Cans and Vimeo Katrina Maskell too.
Awesome. KatrinaMaske.
Double
L?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Vimeo, Instagram, YouTube. She's all over it, guys.
I am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your journey.
I felt like I wanted to hug you.
Hug me!
Great. I was like, how do you
This is COVID safe, I promise.
It's fine, my friends.